Hi family, welcome back to ladensercrochets. If you're new to the channel, you're welcome. My name is Liz. In this tutorial, we're going to make this very simple multicolored skirt. As you can see, my waist is very big because I've not done a drawstring yet. I want to attach an elastic band onto the waist so that it fits perfectly. Grab your materials and let's get into the... I'm using a medium weight yarn in these three shades: yellow, red and green. You can substitute these with any medium weight yarn of your choice, be it cotton or acrylic. Then I'll need a measuring tape, a 4mm crochet hook, then a darning needle, stitch markers and a pair of scissors. We begin with a slip knot. So make your slip knot, then chain 10. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Then hold the last chain and chain one more, yarn over, insert your hook into that last chain and pull up a loop to get 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through the 3 loops to complete a half double crochet. Yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over and pull up a loop to get the 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through the 3. That's the second. Then we yarn over, go into the third chain and do another half double crochet there. Then we're going to place 1 half double crochet into all the chains, and at the end of row 1 we should have a total of 10 half double crochets. So let me go on, work the 10 half double crochets, then at the end of row 1 I'll show you how to continue. I'm at the end of row 1 and I'm just placed the last half double crochet, and this is what we have: chain 1 and turn to begin row 2. Normally we would work in these stitches, very visible stitches, but we're not going to work into them. We're going to go into the loops that are at the back loops of each of the stitches, and that is where we're going to place our stitches. Yarn over in the first back loop, do a half double crochet there. Then the second half double crochet will be in the second back loop of the second stitch. Then we place a third back loop half double crochet into the third stitch, and we're going to do a total of 9 half double crochets in the back loop. So that means you're going to work until you have 1 stitch remaining. So once we get to that last stitch, we're going to work differently. When we get to the last stitch, we're not going to work the back loop, but both loops right here. That's where we're going to work. So yarn over, insert your hook into the both loops of the last stitch and do a half double crochet. And that's the end of row 2. Chain 1 and turn to begin row 3. We're going to work row 3 the same way we worked row 2. 1 half double crochet in the first stitch, 1 half double crochet into the second stitch, 1 half double crochet into the third stitch, and we're going to do a total of 9 half double crochets. Then in the last stitch we're going to work the both loops. I'm at the end of row 3, and into that 10th stitch I'm going to work my last half double crochet into the 2 loops of that stitch, and then we're done with row 3. Chain 1 and turn to begin row 4. Now row 4 is the same as row 2, same as row 3. So we're going to repeat row 2 until we get to our waist measurements. When you're measuring the waist, you need to stretch your work and make sure that when you put on the waistband, it's able to go through your bust, and then that is over your shoulders, through your bust, and fit onto your waist. So that means you're not going to work the exact waist measurement. You're going to make sure that it's slightly bigger, because the bust is definitely going to be bigger than the waist. Then you need to work more rows. My waist measurement is 30 inches and my bust measurement is 36. So I went on to make a total of 64 rows on the waist, and that is able to fit through my bust. It will be wider on the waist, but then I'll attach an elastic band onto the waist in order to draw it so that it fits. The other alternative is to attach a drawstring to make sure that you're able to draw the waist together and that the skirt fits onto the waist. This right here is after 28 rows, and this is what I'm going to illustrate with. I'd already done this, but then I lost the video clip for this waistband. So right now I'll just show you what I did in order to get to whatever I wanted. So fold your work into two. That is after you've gotten to the number of rows that you needed, and take your measuring tape and measure while stretching. Make sure that when you stretch, you're able to get to your bust measurements. Once you do, we're going to join the two ends of the band in order to complete the round. So this is my skirt. I've already attached the elastic band. I did a total of 64 rows, and when I stretch this completely, it's going to stretch up to 18. And because it's folded into two, 18 is 36, which is my bust measurement. After attaching the elastic band, it fits on the waist. So now get to your desired number of rows, and then after you're done, we're going to chain one and turn, and we want to get the two ends of the band so that we can connect them to form the round. As we do that, we're going to work both stitches. So first stitch on this side, first stitch on the other side, insert the hook, pull through and pull all the way through. That's a slip stitch. Then we do a slip stitch into the second stitch, a slip stitch into the third stitches, because we are going on both sides. Onto the fourth stitches, we do a slip stitch, then a slip stitch into the fifth, and we're going to repeat this until we get a total of 10 stitches, 10 slip stitches. I'm in the last stitch, so I'm doing my last slip stitch right there. Then I'll chain one and turn my band to the right side so that we can start working the main part of the skirt, and we're going to work on the rows. So let me show you the rows. So if you've worked 28 rows like I have, you can see the rows. This is row 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So we're going to work on those rows. My first stitch will be right there where I've chained one. I'll place one half double crochet. Then in the first row, I'll do 2 half double crochets and 2. And as you can see, I'm working over this end just to hide it. In the third row, we're going to do 1 half double crochet. In the fourth row, we'll do 2 half double crochets, that is 1 and 2. Then the next row we'll get 1 half double crochet. The next one will get 2 half double crochets. The next one gets 1 half double crochet, then 2 half double crochets, and we're going to repeat this until we get to the end of that very first row. So alternate between 1 half double crochet and 2 half double crochets till you get to this last row right here. I'm in the last row, and that row should get just 1 half double crochet, but then I'm going to place a second one. Then I'll complete the row by doing a slip stitch on top of the half double crochet that we started with, slip stitch to complete row 1. Once you complete row 1, pull your yarn like this and hold your work like this so that you get the exact middle of your skirt. Get a stitch marker. So you want to make sure that you have this end on this side and on this other side. Alternatively, you can count the stitches, but I feel like this method works for me perfectly. So I'll mark this part with a stitch marker. Then I'll get this part and the part where I've ended my stitches and bring them together like this, such that they are aligning with each other. And now we're going to get the points where we're going to increase in order to get to our hip measurement. So now get stitch markers and mark this end. Then, because we don't need this stitch marker right here, I'm going to remove it and use it to mark the hip area on the other side right here. So now those are the two stitches where we're going to be increasing in order to get to our hip measurement. Chain 1 and turn to begin row 2. We begin row 2 in the second stitch. So what I do, I always begin in the second stitch, and when I come back I make sure that I work into this stitch, just to make sure that I'm not working two stitches in the same stitch, because if I were to begin right here and then again I come work a stitch here, I'll have done an increase. So I yarn over, skip the first stitch and begin in the second stitch and place a half double crochet. Then make sure that when I come to the end, I place a stitch right here. So into the next stitch, I'll do a half double crochet, and then I'll do one half double crochet into every stitch until I get to the stitch marker. At the stitch marker, take it out, and into that stitch place 3 half double crochets. So we have 1, 2 and 3 stitches. Then get the stitch marker and mark the stitch in the middle or the second stitch at that point of increase. Then continue on to the next stitch with 1 half double crochet and 1 half double crochet into all the other stitches until you get to the next stitch marker. At the second stitch marker, we take it out, and in that stitch we place 3 half double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. Get the stitch marker and mark the second stitch. Then continue with 1 half double crochet to the end. Remember, the very last stitch will be in this first stitch that we skipped. So work a half double crochet into it, then do a slip stitch on top of the first half double crochet right there. Then chain 1 and turn to begin row 3. We begin row 3 in the second stitch, half double crochet into that second stitch, and keep in mind that we're going to work into this one when we come to the end. Work 1 half double crochet until you get to the stitch marker. Take out the stitch marker and place 3 half double crochets there. 1, 2 and 3. Then mark the middle stitch. Continue to the next stitch marker, and when you get there, do the same thing. But then each of the stitches in between the stitch markers will get just 1 half double crochet. At the stitch marker, we place 3 half double crochets. So that's 1, 2 and 3. Then mark the middle stitch. And now continue to the end with 1 half double crochet in every stitch. That's the last stitch, but remember the very first stitch that we did not work in. Work the half double crochet there, then slip stitch onto that first half double crochet to complete row 3. Slip stitch, chain 1 and turn. After turning, we begin in the second stitch. This is row 4. We're going to place 1 half double crochet into all the stitches, including the one that has the stitch marker. So that basically means that we're not going to have an increase in row 4, but then we're going to work the stitch with the stitch marker and continue marking it. So let me get there and show you what I mean. When you get to the stitch marker, take it out and place just 1 half double crochet in that stitch, then mark that stitch again. And continue working to the next stitch marker. When you get there, you're going to do the same exact thing that we've done right here. I'm at the stitch marker, so take it out and work just 1 half double crochet, then mark the stitch and continue to the end with 1 half double crochet in every stitch. The last stitch goes right there. Then we complete row 4 with a slip stitch onto the first half double crochet, chain 1 and turn to begin row 5. We're going to work row 5 and row 6 with increases. So we're going to be increasing in 2 rows and then skipping the increase in the next row. So we've increased in row 2 and 3, then we did not increase in row 4. We're going to increase in row 5 and 6, then we'll not increase in row 7. So let me show you that. Begin in the second stitch, half double crochet, then continue with 1 half double crochet in every stitch till you get to the stitch marker. This is row 5. At the stitch marker, take it out and work 3 half double crochets in that stitch. Then mark the middle stitch. Go into the next stitch with 1 half double crochet and 1 half double crochet into all the other stitches till you get to the second stitch marker. I'm at the stitch marker and I'm going to place 3 half double crochets there. Get the stitch marker and mark the middle stitch. Then continue with 1 half double crochet in every stitch to the end of the row. I'm at the end of row 6 and I'll do the slip stitch to complete, chain 1 and turn to begin row 7. Now I've already done 2 rows of increase, so I'm going to do row 7 with no increase. And as you increase, you need to take your hip measurements and make sure that you get into your hip measurements. So let's confirm the measurements on the hips of my skirt so far from one stitch marker to the next. Measure while stretching a little bit. So right here I'm at about 20 inches. 20 inches multiplied by 2, that's 40. So this can fit somebody with a hip measurement of 40. Now if you've gotten to the 40 and your hip measurement is 40, you don't need to continue increasing anymore. Now I'm working a hip measurement of 45 and that divided by 2 will be 22.5. So that means I need to increase until I get to my 22.5 and then that's when I'll stop. But before then, I'm going to do the next row with no increase. Then the 2 that follow will have an increase. So we have row 1 had no increase. It was just the foundation row. Then row 2 and 3 had an increase. Row 4, no increase. Row 5 and 6, increase. Row 7, no increase. If you'll need to continue increasing, then that means you're going to increase in row 8 and row 9. Then row 10 will have no increase. I think I'm going to do one more increase because I'm already at 20 and I want to get to 22.5. Actually, I'll do 2 more rows of increase and then come back. This is row 7 that is going to have no increase. So all the stitches will get 1 half double crochet, and then in this stitch, I'll continue marking this stitch and this stitch. Then I'll work row 8 and row 9 with an increase and then come back so that we can measure and see how far along we'll have gotten. So let me work those 3 rows, then come back. Right here I've worked up to row 8 and I've gotten to my hip measurement. So to confirm that, we're going to measure from that stitch marker to the next one without stretching. We are at 20. When I give this a bit of a stretch, it will go up to almost 23, and I wanted to get to 22.5, which is right there. And so I don't need the stitch markers anymore, so I'll just remove them. If you've not gotten to your hip measurement, just continue alternating between 2 rows of increase and 1 row with no increase until you get to the hip measurement. Once you get there, you'll remove the stitch markers and begin the next row after chaining 1. And from this row, which is my row 9, I'll work without increasing, just 1 stitch into every stitch. So chain 1 and turn. I'm working row 9 now, beginning with the second stitch and ending with the first stitch right here. 1 half double crochet into every stitch, and then I'll keep repeating the same row with just 1 half double crochet. Now I want to work with 3 colors, so I'll take the length of the skirt that I want and divide it by 3. I want to work a length of 18 inches divided by 3, that is 6. So with the green, I want to work until I get to 6 inches. I'm almost there actually. I'm just going to work this row and I'll be at 6. Then after that, I'm going to change to yellow. Then the last color will be red. So I'm going to work with the green up to 6 inches, then with the yellow up to 12 inches, then the other color up to 18 inches. If you're working with just one color, then you're just going to continue working, repeating one row with 1 stitch in every stitch until you get to the length of your skirt. When you're measuring the length, make sure that you don't stretch out your work. So I'll work this row. When I get to the end, I'll show you how to change into the next color. At the end, I'll chain 1 and cut off the yarn. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're just working with one color, you don't need to do this. This is for those of us that are changing the colors. Then I'm going to turn my work to the side where the stitches are visible, and I'll get my next color, which is the yellow. I'll start with a slip knot and get that point where I have cut off the yarn right here into this stitch, slip stitch, chain 1, go back into that stitch with a half double crochet. And now when we come to the end, we'll not work into that stitch because we've already worked into it. I'm going to work over these 2 ends. The next stitch will not be here but in the second stitch, then into the 3rd stitch, and continue with 1 half double crochet in every stitch till you get to the last stitch. Then after this, I'll continue with the yellow until I get to 12 inches or until I get 6 inches with the yellow color. As you can see, I'm at a length of 12 inches, and with the yellow, I've worked a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16, 17 rows. So I've done a total of 17 rows with the yellow to get me to the 6 inches that was to be covered by the yellow part. So now with the red, I'll still work 17 rows. Just the same way we did with the yellow, I'll start with the side where the stitches are visible, and I'll do a slip knot, then connect the yarn in that very first stitch with a slip stitch. So get that first stitch, insert the hook, pull up a loop and slip stitch, chain 1, then work a half double crochet into that stitch, a half double crochet into the second stitch, and 1 half double crochet into all the stitches all the way round till we get to this last stitch. I'm working over the ends just to weave them in, and I'll work for a total of 17 rows with the red, then come back and show you what to do next. After 17 rows with the red, this is what I have, and I have the full length of the skirt that I was going for. So you can stop here, or you can do an edging that I'm about to show you. There I'm at 18 inches, which is the full length that I wanted, but I feel like it's too plain. I need to do something at the bottom. So what I'll do is chain one at the end and cut off the yarn. Start with a slip knot, then get that first stitch, connect the yarn right there, then chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. The chain 5 represents a double crochet and 2 chains in between. Then I'm going to yarn over, skip 2 stitches, 1 and 2, work into the third, place, yarn over and pull up a loop to get 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to complete a double crochet. Chain 2 again, yarn over, skip 2 stitches into the third, do a double crochet, chain 2, skip the next 2 and a double crochet into the third stitch after skipping like that, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, work into the third, then repeat this to the end. At the end, chain 2, and I have 3 stitches remaining, so I'll just skip all of them and then work into the chain 3 at the beginning, 1, 2 and 3 to complete that round. And for the final round, we're going to chain 3, and we're not turning, but make sure that you're working from the right side of your skirt. Chain 3, and into this gap we're going to place 4 double crochets. So that's 1, after the 4 double crochets we're going to skip the next gap, then we're going to work on the double crochet after that gap that we've skipped, then chain 3, and into this gap we place 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then skip the next gap and work onto the double crochet, slip stitch. This is what you're supposed to be getting. Then again we chain 3, 1, 2, 3 into this gap, 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Skip this, work into this one, slip stitch, then keep going all the way around, 1, 2, 3, then 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3 and 4. At the end, I'll just work into this, but there will be no space to skip, which is just okay. I'll show you what to do at the end. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you have a space to skip, then that's well and good. Now at the end, I'll slip stitch right here into this chain 3 at the beginning, but at the bottom right here. Then chain 1 and cut off the yarn, and then weave it in. So the only thing that's remaining is to work a drawstring. It could be between 150 to 200 chains, and then attach it onto the waist. I don't want to do the drawstring. I'll be attaching an elastic band so that I do not have to keep adjusting the drawstring. And we are done with the skirt. Thank you so much for watching the tutorial to the end. If you've enjoyed it, kindly leave a like, a comment, share, subscribe, and when you recreate this, don't forget to tag me on my social media pages and I'll be reposting your work. See you in the next one.